Zack Snyder finally gets to release the director's cut of his Netflix space epic, Rebel Moon. The combined two films total about 6 hours. So does the added footage and altered storytelling benefit the movies? A peaceful settlement on a moon in the furthest reaches of the universe finds itself threatened by the armies of a tyrant, while a mysterious stranger living among the villagers becomes their best hope for survival. So first off, the films have two new subtitles. They're both still Rebel Moon, but the subheadings are now Chalice of Blood and Curse of Forgiveness. Why the change? I don't know, just go with it. Another huge update to these two movies is the massive increase in sex, nudity, and bloody violence. Now, while the first releases were geared more towards a broader audience, these are now way more adult themed. And then finally, and even more thankfully, the slow-mo has been drastically reduced. We still see some reduced speed harvesting, and then a few battle sequences are slowed down just to show us the moves, but the majority of the presentation is shown at a normal speed, and that is a welcome change. Now, if you saw the first iterations of the movie, you know the general plot and the trajectory of the story. It's the same here. We just get more character development, motivation, background, and character interactions. When I watched the original releases, I liked the second film more than the first. But now, with the director's cut, I like the first much more than the second. And there's so much world building that takes place, giving us context for why characters are the way they are, and what would make them want to join the rebellion to save some tiny farming village. And the merry band of idiots that come together are still like Seven Samurai or the Dirty Dozen. The fighters, they're a mishmash of talent and values, but they agree to fight, and when the fighting takes place, the blood spurts, and it just flows all over the place. And this is way more violent than it was originally presented. And even when scenes are the same, now they're enhanced by just a bunch of splatter. And most of it looks like CGI, but there's so much of it that it's hard not to have just a small amount of fun while seeing it coat all those around the newly deceased. Now, despite this having a much longer runtime, I didn't notice it. I think that's mainly due to the enjoyment that I was getting thanks to now being invested in the characters and their mission. I remember getting to the climactic scene in the first film and in the non-director's cut thinking how rushed the grouping was for our heroes and how quickly this battle just seemed to come about. Now, with the director's cut, all the fighting and the emotions, they felt earned. I know who the characters were, had spent better time with them, and were now concerned for their well-being. Now, personally, I'm still not big on Frofi as Belisarius. Whether it's the makeup or the direction that he's given, he never felt menacing or powerful to me. Ed Skrein's character of Noble, on the other hand, is unhinged with just an uncommon savagery. He was an excellent villain. Belisarius was just kind of there to slurp up the accolades when he didn't actually do much. Now, if you're not a fan of Snyder or you absolutely hated the first films, there's probably not much that's going to get you to revisit these. But if you did enjoy the first ones, even mildly, I'd say to give these a go. The adrenaline rush simply from the upgraded battles, was worth it. And that showdown that came in the second movie, it is still extremely intense, but now it's even more strenuous and violent. So overall, the director's cuts of Rebel Moon enhanced the storytelling, not only capturing Snyder's true vision, but crafting a tale rich with background and character development. The effects are still a bit wonky, especially when it comes to the copious amounts of blood, and Frofi's character still feels impotent, but the adult-oriented theme of the storytelling allows for darker actions and a more brutal tale, effectively improving the impact of the films. There is a bunch of sex and nudity, a ton of profanity, and a gratuitous amount of violence. I give Rebel Moon, the director's cut of chapters 1 and 2, 4 out of 5 couches. Now, I'm counting them as one film since they're releasing together, and neither really works without the other. Alright, so do you have a favorite Snyder film? Let me know what it is in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.